What is going on, everyone? Welcome into this episode of the Mast Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. I serve as the territory sales manager for all of Kentucky, the majority of Indiana, and Southern Ohio. We want to thank you for joining us on this episode. For this show, we brought in founder and CEO of ProBuilt Pool and Patio, Chris Oswald. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
Very good this morning. It's my birthday. Just turned 55, so off to a good start. Spring is in the air here in Kansas City, and we're ready to go.
Well, happy birthday, Chris, for certain. We're going to kick off Chris's birthday with a bang, and that means 25 to 30 minutes on the Mast Podcast. Nothing anyone else would rather be doing on their birthday than sharing some knowledge with the rest of the industry. And, of course, the goal of this show and of this podcast is to bring an expert onto the show so you can take something for your business, even if it's something small. As we say, a rising tide raises all ships in this industry. ProBuilt Pool and Patio, really an expert in terms of fiberglass installation and just doing everything in the backyard. So I'd like to have Chris on today to talk about that large-scale production, adding hot tubs and other features onto the pool to be able to encompass the entire backyard. So, Chris, do me a favor, give me a little bit of background on yourself and when you founded ProBuilt and how it's kind of grown over the years.
Sure. Well, I started out in construction in 1988. As I said, I'm 55 this morning, so I've been in the construction field for a very long time. Always had an entrepreneurial spirit deep within. And around 2000, I started a stamped concrete company here in Kansas City, Missouri. One of the first of three different companies here that was bringing stamped concrete to the area. It was extremely popular at the time. Still is pretty popular. And we kind of just evolved from there. I started working for Champion Windows and Siding as a subcontractor, doing their concrete work. And that's where I was first introduced to sunrooms. And so we started kind of evolving from concrete into sunrooms and decks. And around 2016, we were introduced to fiberglass pools. And, we took that bite into that in 2016 and slowly started to drinking the Kool-Aid on it. And around 2019, we made a collective decision that we really wanted to start doing more and more swimming pools. With that said, as everybody knows, COVID come along. When COVID hit us, it did obviously soar our business. The vice president, which is my son here, he always likes to tell everybody, hey, COVID happened to everybody, not just ProBuilt. They had the same 24/7 that we did, and we actually did something with it. It was always our intent to grow our fiberglass pre-COVID, and we did. And not only did we do that during COVID, but we maintained those numbers very well since COVID, since the decline. A lot of that is adding new business and new products to our services. But we really went out and kicked the door down every day during COVID, and always get asked, what's the secret to the success? And it's really simple when you think about it, especially during COVID. You would call us, we'd pick up the phone, say hello. You would ask us to come out, we would book an appointment, and we would actually show up. And then amazingly, after that, we would deliver the price to you, usually within 24 hours. Something that a lot of contractors, they get so busy that they just don't do. You spend the time to go out and see somebody and you don't actually get back with them. I mean, you spent that time going out to see them and they didn't. We hear it all the time. My wife single-handedly sold over $1.5 million just over the telephone. Same year I sold 6.5 million personally out there pounding the pavement the first year of COVID. So talking to a lot of people, but we were selling pools sight unseen. When people didn't, just because we answered the phone. Now, times have changed, but just think about that. All people had to do is just do it, just answer the phone and go to the meeting and then deliver the price, and they had the job. It was crazy.
You know, when I started in retail, working for a family business throughout high school, and then when I graduated college, my mom, who was my boss, the owner of the company, one thing that she kept repeating was answer the phone. Whatever you do, no matter what you're doing, you need to answer the phone because there is money on the other end of that phone. And Chris, getting into fiberglass and having done it for almost a decade now, how many pools? What's your target goal for 2025, and how many pools you're trying to put in?
We would like to get back into the 120, 130 range. We're going to maintain that 100 pools a year, and we've also added a lot of rehab into our space. We don't traditionally build gunite or liner pools. It's just something that I personally don't believe in because of the high maintenance, but we actually do liner replacements and rehabs on pools. We also do gunite relines, meaning with eco finish or diamond coat. So we refinish those because there's a lot of money in that. And I feel like I didn't bring you the problem of a pool that you have to heavily maintain, but I like being in that space to help you out after you've made that decision to go outside of the fiberglass pool.
I mean, that is, I think I speak for about 99.8% of the rest of the pool industry. That's a good amount of pools. And I wonder, when it comes to that large scale production, fiberglass pools are usually quicker to put in than vinyl and especially gunite, but still that's over, almost 2 pools a week. And I have to wonder, what's sort of been your secret sauce without telling me too much? Is it sort of, maintaining your employees? Is it just, what's sort of the secret to making sure that when you're installing that amount of pools, you still have the efficiency of, someone that's not doing that many?
Sure. So when we got going into going from 1Z, 2Z, 5Z, 10 to an abundance of pools, it's repetition. You get really good at it. And when we first was starting to roll with it, our guys would take a month to get a pool in the ground. And then, it became 2 weeks, and then it became a week. And then now it's 3 days and they're gone and they're ready for concrete. So they've gotten really efficient at what they do. They're very well paid. So somebody else is not going to take my help away. They're very well treated. They've been with us for a long time. It is a family business, and everybody that works here is a part of our family, and we love that. So management is also a very big key to it. It sounds easy, and everybody says, you're just putting a shell, it's putting a liner or a shell in the ground. Everybody has a different terminology for it, but it's a lot harder than that when you think about it, because we're always sitting with a crane, and wind's a big factor. You get one of these up over somebody's house, it's just like hanging on to a Macy's Day Parade float in a very windy condition. So wind, rain, storms, everything has to line up. We have to haul these down the highway. They're 16 foot wide. So that's a big deal. We have to go out at certain times of the day where we're allowed on the highway. Weather and just actually putting it all together. It's harder than you think, but we do make it look easy just because we're really good at, efficiency and management. We're really good at it. So that's what makes it all happen. And if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be here.
Well, you found a niche to make it work, if you will, and everyone has different processes. You just have to find the one that works for you in the routine. Unfortunately, everyone listening to this show understands that there are some things that are out of our control, and a lot of that is weather. I mean, inconveniences strike us all the time, and you just sort of have to deal with them and bounce back. One thing that I really love about fiberglass pools, and I sold them in distribution, and I've been pretty much around all sides of the table, manufacturing, distribution, and retail. But one thing that I found pretty interesting about fiberglass are the things that you can add to it, like a spillover spa. I think that those are really, really cool because it opens up a ton of opportunities. And I know, if you go to ProBuilt's website, you can see a good amount of options with the spas. So when you're trying to, talk to a homeowner about a specific package, is it really based upon preference when it comes to like spillover spas versus, let's say, like a standalone?
Well, we do sell both of them here, and we want those options to be, explained really well. So it's one thing that I make sure that my sales staff internally understands how to sell that product, and externally, for the outside salespeople. For spas, I have one on my pool and also have a standalone hot tub. For here in our area, the standalone hot tub is what's going to get you from, November to March, and pretty worry free, because if there's any freeze or damage, you can get to that easily to fix it. And with a in-ground spa or one that spills over, that's something that we usually like to close down with the pool, although there are people that like to keep them open. One other thing about the addition for the fiberglass spa is the ergonomics of it. You're not going to have that same ergonomic chair that you're sitting in with a hot tub, but they're totally cool. I love them. There's so many uses for them, not only to gather and be in a nice warm hot body of water, but if you're having it spilling over during the summer months, if it's cooler, that'll help cool your pool. So that's a nice thing to have with the spillover. But they're really cool. They add a lot of class to an existing pool or one that you might be putting in. But we do try to make sure that your expectations are met. Like, if you're in for therapeutics, I want you to buy a standalone. If you're in it for, a gathering place to sip on a nice drink or wine or whatever, then the spillover spa is a great added, bonus to your pool. So we just, because I don't want you coming back to me and saying, hey, you didn't tell me that this wasn't, therapeutic like my neighbor's hot tub. So, yeah.
I find that pretty interesting, and it makes sense when you think of it that way. I was talking to a homeowner, this was probably back in, 2022, about adding both, because I don't really have much experience adding both, right? In retail, it was mainly vinyl liner, the business that I was with, very, very few fiberglass. And I remember the homeowner specifically saying, why would I need both? And I think that it's pretty interesting the way that you break it down, because up until this point, Chris, I'll be honest, I really didn't know that, or I guess I didn't really put two and two together. It's like, yeah, you can sell those together, and it makes sense logistically and from a practical standpoint.
Sure. Yeah, we just like that transparency. That transparency is what brings you back to buy a pool house, an outdoor kitchen, or some of our other products that we have, saunas. Which is something I use more than my pool or my hot tub. I use my sauna constantly. So when we partner with you on a pool project or whatever project it may be, we want that business to be extended for the next length of your life and ours. We want you to continuously come back to us as a customer. So huge for us.
Let's take a look back to, let's say, 2015. I feel like over the past decade, we've gone from an industry from just putting the pool in the ground, and that's it, right? We might do minimal grade work, might even pour concrete around, but not much else. Now it feels like over the past decade, we've gone towards luxury. We've gone towards extravagance. We've turned pools into completely all-inclusive backyard living spaces. And that's one thing that I find interesting. If I go to your website, I see all the different options, like sunrooms. Incredible to be able to see the options there. Let's say for a dealer out there that doesn't really have much expertise with things other than the pool, what's kind of is the recommendation there, Chris? Just doing what you think you're capable of doing? Or is it something to where if you can set your mind to it, you can sell the outdoor living space versus just putting the pool in?
Absolutely. In an initial meeting that we would have with our clients, we want to know, kind of what that budget looks like. And you'll find that most people, when they're talking to a contractor, they're kind of scared to give you that budget because they feel like you're just going to spend their budget, which I openly tell them, yeah, if you give me a budget, I'm going to spend it, but I'm going to give you everything that I can for your backyard under that budget. And the nice thing about it is they can go and have the same thing that I'm giving them priced out with somebody else, and they can make a decision on who they want in their backyard to build the project, whether it be based on price or based on personality or product or people or whatever. So for us, it's important that we find out exactly what your needs are. Oddly enough, I'll go to a pool client and, they have a great big yard, so they want the biggest pool. And I sometimes bring them down to earth and say, hey, this pool, first and foremost, it's for you. I tell each homeowner, it's your pool. If you're building this for your kids, don't. It's a bad idea. It's a bad investment. Kids grew up fast and they're gone. I also tell them that if you're building it to bring the kids back, don't, because they don't. My son is 35 now. He's never been in my pool. He works with me all day. He does not want to hang out with me on the weekends. So there's reasons for that. And I think the brutal honesty of how I sell a product, it relates to the homeowner. If it's grandparents and you're building it for your grandchildren, fine. That's a pass I give is to grandparents. But unless money's just falling out of your pocket, make the investment for you, because you're the one that's going to have to maintain this. You're the one that's going to have to deal with this pool. Kids are never going to jump in this on the financial side with you. You're going to be the one. So that's kind of how I approach each job. But after we get to the brass tacks of the budget, and we see what they can afford, and we start to design a little bit around that. We like to start with the pool package and then have some add-ons come later, because that gives you the opportunity to stretch that business with us down the road to where you're coming back to us, say, hey, remember when you were out and you built this, our $90,000 pool package? We're ready now to add that pool house that you have. We're ready now for that hot tub. We realize that we want to have water, some form of water life or water treatment for us to get us through from November to March. And that's what keeps people coming back through your door. So that's how we approach it. Now, if you have a big budget, and we do big jobs, sky's the limit. We'll spend it. We go out with some people and they're ready to go, and they know that they're going to spend upwards of $300,000 or more in a backyard, and that's fine. We'll do it all at once.
Chris, you said something that, again, one thing that I love about having the experts of the industry on this podcast is I hear something, I'm like, I've never really thought of it that way. And if you're trying to be a company that encompasses the full backyard, and you're trying to offer, the fries with the meal, so to speak, and the chocolate shake with the meal, you mentioned a point of, you can go with the big pool, but it's almost like, hey, why don't we scale the pool down a little bit and let's encompass it. Let's put a sunroom in. Let's put, some good hardscapes. Let's put, it's a standalone hot tub. I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah. In sales, we're taught to go with what the customer wants. And I'm kind of combative to that. But I tell people, it's like, look, I'm going to give you my opinion. And all I can do is look at your property and say, if this was my house, this is what I would do. But now I'm spending your money. So I don't know where your budget lies, Dalton, without asking you that. But sure, I always try to look at it as if it was my house, give them ideas and try to listen. You have to listen to what your customer wants and what their needs are. And then we kind of start picking a pool around what your needs are. Ladies like the sun deck. I always say ladies really love the sun deck. The guys, we want a bench to sit in. We don't want to float around on our backs in a pool for more than 30 minutes. A woman will do it all day. We won't. We want to sit and enjoy the water. So a bench is important to the men, and the splash pad or the tanning ledge is very important to the females.
Every single episode, Chris, we like to have a mailbag question, something that pertains directly to the show. The mailbag question today kind of goes back to putting in a good amount of pools. What do you think that the main mistake dealers make when they try to go from their regular amount of pools, and let's say they want to become a larger builder? They want to put in more and more pools to maximize that profit. But what would you say would be one of the main mistakes that dealers would make if they're trying to make a seismic jump from, let's say, like if you put 12 pools in a year to 25 or 40?
That's kind of a tricky question. When somebody's going from small to large, that space when you're small, because we've been down at the bottom, those guys are making good money. And the guys at the top, like myself, we're making good money. That's what we go to work for every day, build dreams and make money. It's that middle part that'll kill you. It'll totally kill you. You find yourself in the middle where, you're paying out all your money to building your business and you're not making anything. So if you're going to scale from small to large, you better have a good plan to do it. You got to make sure that you have the right people around you, the right partnerships with your suppliers, your people that you're buying all your products from. It's very important to go out and make those relationships, make sure you pay your bills, stay on top of things. We pride ourselves in, believe it or not, we're a debt-free company. We don't owe anybody anything. So that's a great space to be in. It wasn't always that way because we had to borrow our way to get here. But that space in the middle, it's a scary spot. So it puts a lot of people out. It really does, that middle spot, because you find going to work every day for everybody but yourself. And if you're not willing to kick down the door constantly, getting up out of bed and kicking down the door and dealing with whatever comes your way, stay small. You'll make a lot more money staying small. Climb between medium to large, it's tough. And it's only for survivors, hustlers, people that really want it. But it's doable. It's really doable. You got to take care of the people around you. You really do. And if you don't, they won't be with you. They're poachable by other people. People try to poach. I mean, I've got a concrete guy that's the best. I'll put him up against anybody here in Kansas City and even beyond. Pool contractors call him all the time, try to get him. He's billing me for well over $1 million a year, and he doesn't have to look for any work. So he's very good. And it's a very important part of a pool build is the finishing touches. So a lot of important concrete is, but it's extremely important. And yes, I used to be a concrete guy, so that's where I come from, but it's very important. If the concrete looks bad, the whole project looks awful. Nobody guy did.
Good help is the state the mantra is good help is hard to find. Really, good help is hard to keep as well. Chris, with just a couple minutes left, the last question I'll ask you, because the point of this show and the reason why we created it was to, be able to bring expertise to the table to help some companies be able to learn. If you take away just one thing from this show, then I feel like Chris and I did our jobs. Chris, with all that we've talked about today, what would be the one piece or pieces of advice that you would offer the listeners based upon anything that we talked about? What would be the one thing you say, you know what, I want to make sure that you all know blank?
That's kind of easy for me. You have to value yourself. You're a contractor. Think about the artwork that you create in someone's backyard. You go to a dentist, you go to a doctor, and you want to go to the best dentist. I love my dentist. I love my doctor. All those people are professionals. Think about this. Could you have gone to school and done what they've done? And then, and I say that because those people, they make good money. They value themselves. Value yourself. Get paid for your trade. You're here for a short time. I don't bid any work. I sell it. And I sell it by selling my company. I sell it by selling myself, the product. People that bid work stay broke. Sell your projects. Do not bid them. It's very important. It goes a little bit deeper than that, but I sell this company. I don't go out and bid work. You'll never make a lot of money bidding work.
Good piece of advice. That is Chris Oswald, founder and CEO of ProBuilt Pool and Patio out of Kansas City, but serving a couple of different states. Chris, thank you for joining me today. Be sure to tune in to all of the Mast podcast episodes and be sure to look at all of the episodes currently out there on all streaming services you utilize. And don't forget, rising tide raises all ships. We'll see you next time.